Hi guys, how's it going? Thought I'd just give you an update on what I've been up to in the knife department. My big Bowie. I've ground the false edge on the top there, and you can just see it through the wrap. It looks really nice, that. As I said before, I haven't taken it to a point, but it really improves the look of the knife. I've covered it up. I've taken it back to 1000 grit because there was a few marks on it, so I'm going to have to repolish it again. But I've just been humming and ahhing about this guard really, whether or not it's going to work. And the other orientation I showed you, I was bringing that forward, but it's not going to work. It's going to interfere with the blade too much. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring it round as kind of a handguard, and I'm going to take that forward a little bit, and I think that'll look much nicer. So I'll wrap that around there as kind of a handguard, and it'll be more in proportion with the knife then. I have done a little bit of work on that. I've just finessed it down a bit. It needs quite a bit of sanding now and finishing. Then I will fit it onto the tang, and then I will put a couple of spacers behind that. Then I'm going to fix this handle on, pin it. I may bolt it through, I may put a bolt on the back, I'm not actually sure yet. And I've not really had a lot of time to work on the Bowie. I've been using some new steels, D2 steel, which is semi-stainless, very tough steel. I've just made that little kind of box cutter with it. I've been experimenting with the heat treating, with the hardening, with the tempering, and I've got it right now. Absolutely bang on. I think the Rockwell is 61 on that, 61 or 62, can't actually remember, but it's always easy when you know, isn't it? And now I know. So I'll be doing a few more blades in D2. There's a new hunter knife which I'll show you now. That's this guy. I've done some carving on the sheath as well. I did a raven's wing. I painted it with a kind of metallic-y black acrylic leather paint, which just sort of lifts it off the face of the leather a little bit. Put a raven's head in there. I should have really decided fully on the design before I did this. I mean, it's turned out okay. It's been double stitched. It's 4mm veg tan leather. It's got a belt loop on the back there. Could also fit a dangler on that. And I've put a little grommet in there for a tie down, for leg tie down as well. There's a knife. Really did come out lovely, this knife. It's 01 tool steel, heat treated and tempered to 59 Rockwell precisely, and there's a bit of African blackwood there, and there's some Irish yew behind it. I just put a lot of brass pins in this, 10 brass pins straight through, and it's got red G10 liners on it as well. Yes, it is a beautiful knife. Nicely shaped pommel on the back. It's got a lovely grip to it. I actually, well, for most of my knives, actually nearly all my knives, as I'm grinding away on the grinder, I'm constantly holding the knife just to see how it feels, you know, in various different holds and positions, and with every different profile knife, the handle contours are slightly different, so they change. And this it just falls in your hand. It's beautiful. This beautiful little knife. The U is beautiful, absolutely beautiful, that U. It's been stabilised in resin, and then it's had half a dozen or so coats of gunstock oil just to put a nice sheen on the timber. And this literally, there's no edge on it yet. It's literally just wants sort of a micro bevel putting on here, and I like to put a micro bevel on the knives because it's just so much easier to sharpen. If I was to take the full flat ground to a sharp edge and you want to maintain that edge, you're going to have to grind against these flats, which is going to make a mess of the blade. So with micro bevel on that edge, you'll literally just be able to sharpen up that micro bevel, a few swipes each side on a leather stroff with a bit of buffing compound, and it'll bring you back to a razor blade again. Fits in the sheath really nice. There's a good hold in there, not gonna come out. So that's the Hunter with a raven wing. I'll do some more leather carving as well, I think, in the near future. I'm going to do the Hunter in D2. I've also got some Nylox stainless as well, which I'm going to do the Hunter in. So it'll be a rust proof blade in them two steels. I've just made a new heat treat oven. The oven you've probably seen me use before was, I originally made that for doing the katana that I built, and it's just too big, you know, to do knives in. So I've made a smaller version of that, and I'm really pleased with it. Again, the outer body was a gas bottle, and I've lined it with some refractory board material I had. The heat treat oven's never really going to go above 1200 degrees centigrade, so the lining isn't as critical as a forge lining. There's no borax going in there. It's not getting any abuse whatsoever. It literally just, you know, the knife's sitting there. The oven comes up to temperature and they generally soak for around 5, 10, 15 minutes, something like that. Plus I do normalising cycles in it for the blades where they're heated to a specific temperature, say 800 degrees, let them go cold, bring them back down 700 degrees, let them cool, you know. And I usually do 3 normalising cycles, and it just prepares the steel for heat treating. It takes any stresses out the steel prior to heat treating, and you tend not to get warped and bent blades when you normalise them. I've also made a little tumbler which is going to patina the steel. You get a nice sort of tumbled finish on the steel. I made one of them a couple of weeks ago. It's there. I'll just show it you actually. This is it. It's simply it's the motor off a windscreen wiper. So it's a 12 volt motor, and I've just run it through an old 12 volt power supply. I really don't know what this was off. Probably off an old computer or something. And there we go. The wheel of life. All I do is I've got some ceramic beads and bits of stone and bits of shale and all kinds, and I just put it in there, and I put the knife blade in, and as it tumbles around it sort of makes little marks and indentations on the steel. It looks really nice actually. It looks even nicer if you say etch the steel first and put it in ferric chloride, and you get a nice black patina on the steel, and then these bits and pieces in here tumbling, they kind of knock it off in places and they put some nice patination into the steel. I may look for a bigger motor actually. They just give me that at the scrapyard. It's a very small wiper motor, so I may just look for a slightly bigger one, say off a van or something, which has just got a little bit more power. But as you can see, it works. So this is my new heat treat oven. Put a little door on it there for ease of access. I've got my plate in there to put my knives on, blades. Again, it's just a gas bottle body, as I said, 4 legs on it. I'm running it off the 1/2 inch Amal burner. It's very controllable, heats up so much quicker than the bigger oven I had. Doesn't use as much gas, and it's probably slightly more controllable, which I'm quite pleased about. A little look inside, and this was a 2-inch refractory material. I don't know what it was. I've had it kicking around for a long time. You can see the hole in the back there for the Amal burner. There's my knife tray. You can also see the thermocouple inside there. So I've got a constant monitoring of the temperature, and it's exactly at the height of the edge of my blades. And this little oven really holds the temperature. It's quite precise. I can hold it to 1 degree. You can't really walk away and leave it for more than 3 or 4 minutes, because being a gas forge, there's no actual regulation other than the setting that you put on the Amal burner. So if you're not careful, it will either climb in temperature very slowly, or it will lose heat very slowly. Now, and it kind of needs micro adjustments on the Amal every few minutes, but it's pretty good, you know. I operate it with the door closed, and just bring my knives out when they're up to temperature and dunk them in the oil. Say I've moved the burner forward on the top of my forge. Again, you probably can't see in there, but there's a new lining inside. I've just got a bit of refractory on kale wool on top of the lining there, because I was heat treating some little pieces of silver steel the other day, so I had no reason to heat the whole forge floor up. And these are the quench plates I've just made for heat treating the D2 and the stainless. I saw Robert Ratcliffe had made one of these, or a couple of these, so I slavishly kind of copied that. I've seen a few of these since on the internet. Guys have made them. It's just a quick release woodworking vise with the plates mounted onto it. These plates are 1 inch thick aluminium, about 14 inches long, 5 inches wide. The stainless knives, the D2 knives, are brought up to temperature, and they're actually quenched between these plates because they're in a stainless steel packet. It heated up inside a stainless steel packet, which keeps the oxygen off the steel, and it stops the edge, it stops the faces, you know, getting full of scale and decarb. So they're brought out in the packet and then literally just dropped in there, tightened up, and I'll leave them in there for about 2 minutes, and you know, it does a great job this of ripping the heat off the steel. I've got 2 of these, so I can do 2 knives at a time. It's quite easy to cool the plates down again by putting a piece of steel in them, and again the aluminium reacts quite quickly to the temperature. Well, that's my little update finished. I'll be back on very shortly now as I've got my forge back up and running. I'll be back on with some Damascus. I really want to get this Bowie knife finished though. I'll video the rest of this process. I haven't been doing much filming on this really, because I've just been, you know, picking it up when you get a minute, looking at it, putting it back down, picking it up, changing it, putting it back down. But I'm more or less decided on this. I think that'll look really nice. So I'll film myself trying to make it look right. A little hunter knife, I'll put that on my website. You can have a look at that, guys. If anyone fancies buying it, you're more than welcome. And it will be a good price. I'll make a little sheath for that. Anyone's got a suggestion of what they'd like to see carved on the leather, let me know, and I will choose one of your suggestions and I will try and do my best to carve it onto the leather. Right, fellas, stay slippy. I'll see you soon.